It's a voluntary? Will the Senate please come to order?
We passed that, yes.
Our devotional exercises will be conducted by the Reverend, I hope I don't butcher your name, Corinne Eskridge of Weybridge Congregational Church. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I bring you greetings from the Weybridge Congregational Church in Addison County. I want to start by thanking Senator Ruth Hardy for inviting me and thanking Steve Heffernan, also from Addison. I know that you all are near the end of your session, right about now, a few more weeks at least, near the end of this session where you've been doing the hard job of representing your constituents and making decisions here. I know that this must be a difficult, time-consuming job, and the fact that you are all here tells me that you find some joy in it somewhere. So I wanted to talk about joy for a moment and gratitude, because I know that a difficult part of your job must be translating the jargon, the formality, and the systems that you work within into the lives of actual people who live in our state. So I wanted to give you a moment to reflect on the reasons, the people that got you here. So I invite you to just take a moment, maybe take a deep breath if you would like, and release it. If you would like, you can close your eyes. Just picture and imagine your constituents. You probably know many by name, know many of their stories. The people who got you here, who you represent. Take a moment also to think about your family, your friends, teachers, mentors, even maybe historical figures who inspired you and are part of the reason why you sit here. Think about them too. Conjure up all these images. We wouldn't be able in reality to get them all into one room, but imagine that they could be for a moment. And they're expressing gratitude to you. And to conclude, I invite you to join me in a spirit of prayer. Holy One, God who we know by many names, Spirit in whom we live and move and have our being, we thank you for the ways that we are all connected, even in all of our glorious diversity. I thank you for these people, the senators, and all the staff who take on the honor and responsibility of making decisions on behalf of others. May they listen well, and may they be listened to well. Empower them to continue to serve this brave little state and all of its people, especially the most marginalized. May it be so. Amen.
Are there any announcements? Senator from Windsor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules be suspended and that H 479, an act relating to housing, be committed to the Committee on Natural Resources and Energy with the report of the Committee on Economic Development, Housing, and General Affairs intact.
The senator from Windsor has moved that the rules be suspended and H 479, an act relating to housing, be committed to the Committee on Natural Resources and Energy with the report of the Committee on Economic Development, Housing, and General Affairs intact. Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. We now have H 505, for referral under Rule 44A to Government Operations. We now have a Senate bill for reference. S-154 is referred to the Committee on Finance. Oh, we have to first read that one. That would be a good idea. First reading. Please listen to the first reading.
S-154, an act relating to health insurance coverage for biomarker testing.
Now, you've heard the first reading of the bill, and it is committed to the Committee on Finance. H-504, an act relating to the approval of the amendments of the Charter of the City of Rutland. This has been you have to listen to the reading of that one as well. Please listen to the first reading.
H-504, an act relating to approval of amendments to the Charter of the City of Rutland.
H-504 has been pre-approved under Rule 44A to be referred to the Committee on Government Operations. Orders of the day. Oh, 339. We have H-339 for third reading. Are there any amendments prior to third reading? Seeing none, listen to the third reading of the bill.
H-339, an act relating to removing the repeal of 7 VSA Section 230.
Question is, shall the bill pass in concurrence? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
No.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and we have passed H-339 in concurrence. We now have H-364 for third reading. Are there any amendments prior to third reading? Listen to the third reading of the bill.
H-364, an act relating to approval of the annexation of property by the Village of Swanton.
The question is, shall the bill pass in concurrence? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have passed H-364 in concurrence. We now have H-396. Are there any amendments prior to third reading? Listen to the third reading.
H-396, an act relating to the creation of the Molly Beatty Distinguished Service Award.
The question is, shall the bill pass in concurrence with proposal of amendment? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have passed H-396 in concurrence with proposal of amendment. We now have H-461. Are there any amendments prior to third reading? Senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is an amendment that I'm putting forward. It's on page 1354. This is, I think, the fifth bill I've presented so far this year, and I'm 5 for 5 on floor amendments follow-up. So I almost didn't have one this time, but we found an almost Scribner's error, but not a Scribner's error. There's really no substantive change whatsoever. It was just noticed that this line that you'll see in this amendment was not underlined in our version, and it is new language, so this is just adding an underline. Happy to debate this if anybody has any concerns with that. But 5 for 5 on floor amendments. Let's keep up the track record. Thank you, Mr. President.
In concurrence with proposal. Shall the Senate propose to amend the bill as offered by the senator from Chittenden? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. The bill now is, shall the bill pass? Whoops, let's read it. Third reading.
H-461, an act relating to expanding employee access to unpaid leave.
Now the question is, shall the bill pass in concurrence with proposal of amendment? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have passed H-461 in concurrence with proposal of amendment. We now have H 481. Are there any amendments prior to third reading? Senator from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. In preparing the report for this bill, it came across one small error. There was a part where, coming over from the other body, it had referenced impact fees. The committee had changed 2 out of the 3 instances to special assessment fees. But we missed 1, so this just removes the word impact so that it can match with the other kinds of fees in that paragraph. So slightly more than a Scribner's error. Thank you.
John, so that's. Question is, shall the Senate amend the bill as offered by the senator from Washington? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. The bill now should be read a third time.
H 481, an act relating to stormwater management.
The question is, shall the bill pass in concurrence with proposal of amendment? Are you ready for the question? Senator from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. The senator from Rutland had asked a question about phosphorus loads from various sectors. And so I called up some of the data that we received about that. So there are 2 graphs, 2 sets of graphs, one for Lake Memphremagog and one for Lake Champlain. The graph that is most pertinent is the one on the left. That is the baseline load, and then the one in the middle is what they see after according to the TMDL restrictions, and then the one on the right is the reduction. So the developed lands portion, which is sort of a orangey color, is the 3-acre rule allocation. So that's there. As I said, there are 2 graphs, one for Lake Memphremagog and one for Lake Champlain, and where phosphorus is coming from. So that is just an answer to the senator's question. Thank you so much.
Are you ready for the question? The question is, shall the bill pass in concurrence with proposal of amendment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have passed H 481 in concurrence with proposal of amendment. We have on the calendar for action H 401, which was passed by the House February 27th, 2025. It was referred to the Committee on Health and Welfare, which reports it has considered the bill and recommends that the Senate propose to the House that the bill be amended as it appears starting on page 1355 of today's calendar, and that with such proposal of amendment, the bill ought to pass. Affecting the revenues of the state, the bill was referred to the Committee on Finance, which recommends that the bill ought to pass in concurrence with proposal of amendment as recommended by the Committee on Health and Welfare. Listen to the second reading of the bill.
H 401, an act relating to exemptions for food manufacturing establishments.
I recognize the Senator from Chittenden Central District, Senator Gulick, for the report of the Committee on Health and Welfare.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you're like me, you enjoy visiting Vermont's many farmers markets and picking up a jar of homemade dilly beans or maybe some pickled beets. In the winter, you might enjoy buying some local strawberry rhubarb jam, or maybe, from your local general store, maybe you buy some Vermont vinegar online. So many products, so many options. All of these products make Vermont's food landscape unique and delicious. They feed us all year long. They draw tourists into our state, and they provide income to many Vermonters. For some, this income may be a supplement to other wages, but for others, it is essential to daily life. H 401 And you can find it in the calendar today on page 1355. H401 is a bill that will make it easier for local food producers to do what they do best: produce locally made, delicious food for all of us by adding a new exemption for cottage food operators making allowable products with gross receipts of $30,000 or less, keeping them from the obligation to obtain a license and related licensure fees. As your Health and Welfare Committee, we take the duty of ensuring that this is done safely, and consumer health is first and foremost in our mind. So this bill also adds requirements for pickled and fermented foods. And it really keeps us in line with what other states are doing. So let's take a look at the bill. And I will go through the side by side with you. So you start in section 1 with the legislative intent, and then section 2 amends 18 VSA, which is the definitions. And the definitions, I kind of like the list because it defines cottage food operator, cottage food operation, and cottage food products. And here you've got examples, because I know folks they're curious. What is a cottage food product? It is not cottage cheese, I'll tell you that. It is non-potentially hazardous baked goods. It's candy, jams, jellies, dry herbs, trail mix, granola, cereal, mixed nuts, flavored vinegar, popcorn, coffee beans, dry tea, and this is the exciting one: homemade canned pickles, vegetables, or fruits. And they have to have, this is really important, an equilibrium pH value of 4.6 or lower, or a water activity value of 0.85 or less. And that they also, or they have to be made using recipes approved by the National Center for Home Food Preservation, or reviewed by a food processing authority for safety. I did share a pickled asparagus recipe with you. Someone in our committee had mentioned that they loved pickled asparagus. So one day this recipe ended up in our committee, and we were very excited. You need 10 pounds of asparagus to make the large quantity, or to make a smaller large quantity, you need 7 pounds. But the reason why I thought this was appropriate for y'all to look at is because this is a recipe that is that comes from the National Center for Home Food Preservation. So this is exactly what we're talking about. Moving on. So you've got your definitions. Section 3 amends 18 VSA 4303, which is the rulemaking. And it does add to the Vermont Department of Health's rulemaking duties a requirement that training for food service establishment operators and employees be established to ensure cleanliness, sanitation, and healthfulness. And a lot of this training is going to be done through videos. So there are short videos that folks will be able to watch, which will give them the necessary understanding and knowledge to meet the requirement necessary to be considered safe and healthy. Section 4 amends 18 VSA 4353. This is the fees section. And existing statute sets licensure fees for food manufacturing establishments, which includes different fees for non-bakeries and bakeries. And this bill establishes cottage food operations as a third category of food manufacturing establishments. So you've got in subdivision 3A, you've got non-bakeries, and you've got current and proposed law, no license or licensure fee for non-bakeries earning under $10,000 annually. In subdivision 3B, you've got bakeries. Current law, language in section 4358, states that the chapter does not apply to home-operated bakeries earning $6,500 a year or less, meaning exempt from licensure and licensing fees. And then you've got the proposed law, which is to make bakery products, except time temperature controlled products like quiche, cheesecake, they will fall under the definition of cottage food product, and therefore will not have a license or licensure fee requirement for earnings under $30,000. So again, as I said earlier, we're trying to make it a little bit more easy and seamless for those folks to be able to produce their products for all of our consumption. Subdivision 3B, you've got cottage food operations, and this is proposed language. Gross receipts of $30,000 or less per year from the sale of cottage food products are exempt from license and license fee. Section 5 amends 18 VSA, section 4358B, and these are exemptions, specifies that the obligation to obtain a license and pay a licensure fee does not apply to a food manufacturing establishment that is exempt because its gross average sales are less than the threshold set in 4358. Also, it requires food manufacturing establishment claiming the exemption to submit their license exemption filing to the Vermont Department of Health each year. So they will have to submit this exemption annually. And the license exemption filing requirement requires food manufacturing establishment to attest to the completion of any training requirement required by the Vermont Department of Health by rule pursuant to section 4303. And again, those trainings will most likely be available online. You can check out the webpage and see for yourself. And then section 6, rulemaking. While permanent rules are pending, BDH is directed to adopt emergency rules which shall be deemed to have met the emergency rulemaking standard. We want to get this going. We have farmers market season coming right up, so we want to be ready to go. Section 7 is the effective date, which is July 1st of 2025. Boy, we heard from some great witnesses. We heard from Ledge Counsel. We heard from Ted Barnett, the fiscal analyst at Joint Fiscal Office. We heard from Greg Burt. He's a representative in the House. We also heard from Representative Jonathan Cooper. He is in the House Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. We heard from Julie Errol, who is the interim commissioner at the Vermont Department of Health. Peter Hopkins, he is a partner at Hoppy Valley Farm. We heard from Alan Reitz, who is the director of Public and Government Affairs at the Hanover Co-op, Food Stores of Vermont and New Hampshire. Jessica Schifano, Policy Director, Vermont Department of Health. Caroline Sherman Gordon, Legislative Director of Rural Vermont. And Elizabeth Wurzing, who is the Senior Environmental Health Program Manager at the Vermont Department of Health. And we voted this bill out favorably, 4-1-0, and we would ask that the Senate concur. Thank you, Mr. President.
And now I would like to recognize the senator from Chittenden Central District, Senator Gulick, for the report of the Committee on Finance.
We did have a nice presentation from Joint Fiscal on the impacts of this bill, and they were found to not be de minimis, but to be marginal. So we did agree with their assessment, and we voted this bill favorably 7-0-0. Thank you, Mr. President.
The question is, shall the Senate propose to the House to amend the bill as recommended by the Committee on Health and Welfare? Are you ready for the question? Senator from Franklin.
Mr. President, may I interrogate the presenter of the bill?
The presenter is interrogated.
Not a difficult question, Mr. President. We have producers in our area, Franklin County, who both produce vegetables, and a lot of them, I might add, and sell them to various stores, and also produce the dilly pickles or the beet pickles, whatever we're talking about here. Would the cash receipts from the sale of vegetables be thrown into the $30,000 we're looking at? Are there two separate issues, Mr. President?
Could the interrogator restate the question?
Yes, Mr. President. The question is, we have a producer who sells fresh vegetables, not dilly pickles or whatever else. When they bring them to the market to be sold, are the receipts from the sales of the vegetables at a farmer's market or store, are those same receipts used when they figure up the $30,000 or more from the sale of dilly pickles?
Thank you. I understand now. So are they separate from the sale of the dilly pickles? I would have to ask our ledge counsel or possibly the chair of my committee for that to be definitive, but my assumption is no, they would not be included in the sale, in the receipt from the jar of dilly pickles or dilly beans or whatever.
I thank the senator.
And I can have an answer on third reading.
I would appreciate that, Mr. President. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you.
Senator from Rutland.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I interrogate the reporter?
The reporter is interrogated.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I always like to start in conversations with bills about trying to recognize what problem we're trying to solve. So if I could direct to the reporter of the bill, I'm curious if there's any statistics or data about foodborne illnesses derived from this cottage food industry that substantiates the need for this type of legislation. Thank you, Mr. President.
That's a very good question, Mr. President. And it was something we discussed in committee because there was talk about, why do we need this kind of oversight to begin with? And we did draw the distinction between, the fact that we are not the Economic Development Committee. We are the Health and Welfare Committee. So it is incumbent on us to make sure that folks who are eating food in our state, who are buying these products are, safe, and that is our job. So yes, I do have information. I'd be happy to share it with the senator from Rutland. It's hard to pinpoint exactly where foodborne illnesses come from, but we did have in 2024, for example, we had a total of 474 cases of foodborne and intestinal illnesses. I can tell you that, again, it's not necessarily exact because of the nature of foodborne illnesses, but we had one salmonella outbreak that was linked to a community event, 2 confirmed cases and 14 suspected there. We had a salmonella outbreak with 2 confirmed cases and 1 suspected that was linked to a homemade dinner. We had another outbreak of Campylobacter. We had 10 cases there, and that was linked to an agro-tourism destination served meal. And then another of Choliospora outbreak, 4 confirmed and 5 probable cases, and that was linked to a community event. So as I mentioned to the senator from Rutland, 474 cases in 2004.
I thank the reporter of the bill, and thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Essex.
Thank you, Mr. President. All I hear about this is farm, farm, farm. I'm a little remiss that this didn't get through into the Agriculture Committee. I would have thought that we would have seen this bill a little bit. I am troubled, again, as Senator Rutland's kind of laying it out, that we seem to be, whereas we're looking for diversification throughout the agriculture industry, that we seem to be getting our noses where probably I don't believe that they belong. I will support this bill, but it's pretty hard to make a living here in the state of Vermont. It just seems like every chance we can do to tax the hell out of somebody, we seem to be able to do that. And that bothers me a little bit, Mr. President. But again, I wish we would have seen this bill. I think we could have added some insight to it. We do have most of the people that were on the witness list. They have been into our committee, so I'm a little bit baffled by why we didn't see it. And they're a little bit troubled that we seem to be in everybody else's business and taxing them when we shouldn't be. But thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Addison.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to point out to the senator from Essex and others who may have a concern similar to the one just expressed, that this bill actually exempts these food manufacturers, cottage food operations. And you can see at the bottom of page 1358, the Finance Committee went through this, and it exempts the small cottage food industry or producers from the fees. So it is actually making it easier for them, assuming that they meet the standards of training and produce their food items in a way that is safe for consumers. So in fact, this, I think, makes it easier for them to make a living and to not have to pay the fees while also maintaining public health. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Chittenden.
Mr. President, I was going to say basically exactly what the senator from Addison County just said. The whole point of this bill, it was brought to us by farmers, and the whole point of this bill is to make it easier for folks to produce these foods, and there will actually be fewer fees received. So I thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Windsor.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I interrogate the reporter of the bill?
The reporter is interrogated.
So, Mr. President, on page 1356, I'm just puzzled by the request in M, the home canned pickles and products, these delicious things that we all love. Why the recipes are required to be just from this group rather than the family recipes that we all know and love? Why is it not the method of the preservation of the item that is of concern rather than the recipe?
I am hearing a whisper from the chair of my committee, I think, who would like to respond to this question.
The senator from Chittenden yields to the senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you look at M, so the pH level and the water content, so over time, we've learned that there are certain conditions in canned and preserved foods that can result in bacterial growth. So if you lower the pH, acidity, put it a little slightly lower acidity level, lower than neutral being 7, and this 4.56 being a little acid, then that will prohibit the growth of specific types of very illness-causing bacteria. Similarly, a lower water content will keep bacteria from growing. So that is what is there. The recipes that you're talking about provide for that level of acidity and that level of water content. So it's actually a really terrific thing to provide these time-tested recipes for to folks who would like to dive into pickled asparagus or corn relish and those things. In fact, when we heard from the Department of Health initially, they weren't going to allow any of the vegetable canning whatsoever, which would not have pleased me in particular or others, because we like pickled asparagus and corn relish. So they modified this to allow for those who are exempt to produce these recipes that will help to prevent bacterial growth. I hope that answers your question.
It doesn't, Mr. President. I appreciate the method and the requirement for a recipe to include those aspects. But for those of us who do can and who do preserve, it is, if you are meeting those requirements, why would you not be able to use any recipe as long as you met the requirements in M?
Yes, you could, Mr. President. You don't have to use those specific recipes. You have a recipe at home that you've been using for years and years to can your pickles, and you can just double check. pH is very easy to test. We do it a lot for our soils and other things.
So there is nothing here, because it does specifically say using these recipes. It doesn't say you could use your own recipes as long as you apply the requirements in M. So and there's no place, so there's no place that allows for that.
It allows for you to pass your recipe by. The Department of Health will review that it does exactly what it's supposed to do based on M or these other sections.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Chittenden. I had two senators up.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did want to comment. I do think that should agriculture wish to review the bill, that we would allow for time for that, for the committee to look at it. It's probably unfortunate that that did not happen during the process. It's been on our agenda, and we've worked very, very hard to assure that the folks coming in looking for an increase in the threshold of $30,000 would be allowed to do exactly that with the least restrictive requirements as we have learned from the Department of Health. So I would welcome agriculture reviewing the bill between now and third reading, and hope that we could move this along. We felt very, very supportive of this bill in our committee and supportive of the folks who brought the bill to us. We did hear from some of those who are in the cottage industry and were very supportive. We also heard from rural Vermont, which was supportive of the work that we did to improve it. But as I said, if the Committee on Agriculture would like to take a look at this, we're pleased to have that happen before, as it goes towards third reading. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Rutland.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I interrogate the reporter of the bill?
The reporter is interrogated.
So same section, subsection M, about 3/4 of the way down the page of 1356, talks about reviewed by a food processing authority. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Who is going to provide the authority?
I would be happy to respond to that question. Mr. President, would you mind if I read from a memo that I have from the Department of Health? Thank you. So because this is now the second time that this question or adjacent question has been asked. And I quote, this is from the Vermont Department of Health. This was submitted to our committee. For the specific question about whether products of pickled and fermented foods would be included in the increased exemption threshold produced for cottage food operators, the department has a recommendation that will include certain home canned pickles, vegetables, or fruits while balancing food safety risk. This recommendation is to, as we stated earlier, add home canned pickles, vegetables, or fruits that have an equilibrium pH value of 4.6 or lower, or a water activity value of 0.58 or less to the definition of cottage food product, which would include these products under $30,000 exemption threshold for cottage food operations. Require these products be made using validated recipes, which we talked about earlier, available for free from the National Center for Home Food Preservation, or if producers want to use other product recipes, they are certainly welcome to, but they would be required to be reviewed by a process authority for safety. These requirements would be consistent with what is required by other states that allow pickles and fermented products to be produced by exempt home operators. Process authority review is a common food safety requirement, and the department has authority to request this documentation be provided. A process review is a complete evaluation of how a food product is made, including the ingredients, all the steps of the preparation, and the packaging. A process review is conducted by a food processing authority. A food processing authority is a person who has expert knowledge of thermal processing requirements for low acid foods packaged in hermetically sealed containers, or has expert knowledge in the acidification and processing of acidified foods. I hope that responds to my colleague from Rutland's question.
Thank you, Mr. President. But I do have a further question. Where do we find this authority? My grandma Clara's pickled beets and pickle lily. We all have these people that sell their product in our districts. This is going to put an undue burden on them, particularly if I'm confused about where this authority is. How are these people going to know how to get a hold of it?
As a matter of fact, Mr. President, there are lists of process authority resources in our region and beyond available. Currently, a product can be evaluated by a process authority within our region for between $150 and $190. For producers of innovative products, having a process review that confirms food safety hazards will be mitigated, can also increase consumer and retailer confidence in products made in a cottage food operation.
I thank the reporter of the bill. My point is that these people are not going to be in the farmer's market. They're not going to be testing the product. We're still going to potentially get people that are going to get sick. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Windsor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to rise and say that I am in full support of H401, and I'm very appreciative of it. The word botulism has not come up yet, which I'm remiss to say that. Botulism is a deadly illness and is very painful and uncomfortable and kills people. And unfortunately, there have been cases in our state. Luckily, in recent years, the process of canning has improved. But in my own family history, botulism comes up quite a bit because we've had family members who have perished in the previous times when botulism was not known as well as it is and how to prevent it. So I'm really grateful for this bill because I think while we proliferate these products, we don't want someone to inadvertently purchase something that kills them or their family members unbeknownst when they're purchasing the product. So I'm deeply grateful for this, and I think it actually honors folks who have previously died of a very unfortunate disease.
Are you ready for the question? Senator from Chittenden.
Mr. President, may I interrogate the reporter of the bill?
The reporter is interrogated.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I look at subsection M on page 1356, I think many of us would agree that pH level is extremely important, water activity value. We have heard in debate that will not be quality tested in any particular way because we do want to honor our cottage industries. So in that context, Mr. President, if somebody has a recipe that's, especially in the cottage industry, very proprietary to their family, will that be held as confidential in the process of having it verified?
That is a great question, Mr. President, and I don't have an answer on hand. I'd be happy to get an answer for third reading.
I thank the senator. Mr. President, from an economic development committee jurisdiction or an agricultural committee jurisdiction, this does have significant implications. So while I would not be the one qualified to make the motion that this be passed over for one legislative day, I do hope that if the Agriculture Committee or other committees of jurisdiction do need to take significant time to review some of these provisions and how they impact our cottage industries, which are hugely important to the economy of the state of Vermont, that we will let those committees of jurisdiction have the opportunity to take a look and perhaps, if needed, delay third reading. I'll just end by saying I remember once hearing in our Senate Economic Development Committee that 85% of visitors buy a local cottage industry product when they're here. We want them to be safe, but we also know it's an incredible source of pride and income for so many Vermonters. And what had started as a bill related to honoring that and the increased inflationary costs of those cottage industries and cottage products has become a new regulatory bill where the Department of Health will have more access and control over our cottage industry, which by nature of being a cottage industry usually meant that people could afford to do it in their local community and really celebrate what's true and local and valuable to them. And those are a lot of economic development and agriculture questions. So I will leave it at that, Mr. President.
Senator from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just for clarity, right now, you can do the pickles, the nuts, the dried grains up to $10,000. What this bill does, you can't do pickles. It's the nuts, it's the dried grains, it's the bakery products, as long as they aren't quiche and contain cheese and need to be cooked. You can do cookies and probably croissants. This bill takes what you can make up to $30,000 and it expands it to include fermented products, pickles. So it is not limiting, it is not putting new restrictions, it is expanding. And it's trying to find a balance between expanding and protecting the public from a potentially deadly disease. I read the book on home canning and proceeded to freeze all my produce because I didn't want to poison my kids. You can do whatever you want and you can use it yourself. You can give it to anyone. You can disseminate it as much as you want. You want to do in your brother-in-law, don't process it enough. This is only if you're selling it to the public. And it is an expansion by 300 times. We're going from $10,000 to $30,000, way more than inflation.
Senator from Essex.
Mr. President, can I ask for a brief recess and meet my agriculture committee in this corner for just a minute, please?
We'll take a brief recess.
I dropped them. I dropped them. Your leader hadn't stood up.
You guys figure it out?
Will the Senate please come to order? Are you ready for the question? Senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President. After the discussion, I think the consensus was that this could use a bit more time. So what we'd like to do is have the vote for second reading and then take up the bill again on Wednesday for third reading.
So we just asked the question. The question is, shall the Senate propose to the House to amend the bill as recommended by the Committee on Health and Welfare? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you propose to the House to amend the bill as proposed by the Committee on Health and Welfare. The question now is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you've ordered third reading of H 401. We have on the calendar for action SR 11, introduced on May 7th, 2025, is referred to the Committee on Economic Development, which reports it has considered the resolution and recommends it ought to be adopted. Listen to the second reading of the resolution.
SR 11, Senate resolution relating to supporting warm and cooperative relations on the part of both the United States and the state of Vermont with Canada, and urging President Trump to remove all tariffs that he has imposed against Canadian imports and to refrain from subsequently imposing any new tariffs against Canadian imports.
I recognize the senator from Rutland, Senator Weeks, for the report of the Committee on Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. President. When SR 11 was being solicited for co-sponsors, I did not sign on. From my perspective, I fully appreciated that Canada has a unique and very special relationship with Vermont, but I did not, in the first draft, feel that the resolution was well drafted in regards to tariffs specifically. So, in review of SR 11, SR 11 has two elements. First, it recognizes that Vermont and Canada have incredibly strong business and family ties. Many in this chamber have such a tie, including myself. The second element of SR 11 deals with the issue of tariffs. I'm not a tariff expert, but I do know that tariffs have been used as an economic tool of global influence for centuries. The U.S. derived revenue from tariffs since 1792. In fact, tariffs were the sole form of revenue for the feds until they added national income tax around 1912, and then followed with payroll tax in 1935. There were several iterations of this resolution between the House and the Senate. The draft that caused me the most concern was calling for the immediate rollback of all U.S. tariffs with Canada. That request, I thought, was simply not well informed, and I'll try to illustrate that. Prior to the current administration, Canada and the U.S. had a series of tariffs on each other. A few examples. Canadian tariffs against U.S. dairy, poultry, and grain range from between 200 to 300%. U.S. tariffs against Canadian steel, aluminum, and lumber. In the Economic Development Committee, we revisited the resolution's original language and changed it to read, remove tariffs against imports from Canada that were not in effect on January 20, 2025. Now, I believe more appropriately, this resolution reacts to the dramatic threats and destabilizing effect that this administration has inflicted upon Canadian and Vermont trade. In the Economic Development Committee, we took testimony from a variety of Vermont businesses that outlined the dramatic effect these tariffs had on their business efforts. One of the most striking examples of the impact was a reduction of Canadians' visits to Vermont, which were down approximately 70% compared to this time last year. SR 11 recognizes our common Vermont-Canada values. This resolution highlights that Canada is our largest export destination for Vermont products that are worth approximately $850 million a year. Additionally, the resolution recognizes that Vermont imports roughly $2.6 billion a year from Canada, with the top four imports including electricity, fuel oil, natural gas, and surprisingly, cocoa and chocolate. The Vermont-Canada trade support, for Vermont and Canada, this trade supports roughly 17,000 employees in our state, including over 2,000 employees of Canadian-owned businesses in Vermont. As in the Taiwan resolution, SR 11 is particularly important in the current global climate of instability where boundaries of friends and foes are blurred. Now I'll share the heart of the resolution, which will be followed by a French translation offered by the senator from Chittenden Central. Resolved by the Senate that the Senate of the state of Vermont supports the warm and cooperative relations on the part of both the U.S. and the state of Vermont with Canada, and urges the President to remove all tariffs imposed against Canadian imports and to refrain from subsequently imposing new tariffs against Canadian imports. Now, Mr. President, I would like to yield the floor to the senator from Chittenden Central.
The senator from Rutland yields to the senator from Chittenden Central.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président, et merci beaucoup à mon collègue de Rutland. Je ne vais pas traduire tous les mots de mon collègue parce que c'était long, c'était un peu compliqué, mais je vais vous traduire trois parties de cette résolution. D'abord, attendu que de nombreux habitants du Vermont aiment voyager à Montréal et à Québec, tandis que les Canadiens, en particulier les Québécois, effectuent des voyages au Vermont pour profiter des possibilités exceptionnelles de loisirs de plein air de l'État. Et attendu que sur le plan économique, pour 2023, le consulat canadien à Boston a rapporté que Vermont a exporté 6 080 millions de dollars de biens et 165 millions de dollars de services vers le Canada, et que la même année, le Vermont a importé 2,6 milliards de dollars marchandises du Canada, et que les investissements canadiens dans l'État ont soutenu plus de 17 000 emplois au Vermont. Résolu par le Sénat que le Sénat de l'État du Vermont soutient les relations chaleureuses et coopératives des États-Unis et de l'État du Vermont avec le Canada et exhorte le président Trump à supprimer tous les tarifs douaniers qu'il a imposés sur les importations canadiennes et à s'abstenir d'imposer par la suite de nouveaux tarifs sur les importations canadiennes et qui en est avantage. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Senator from Rutland.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not sure procedurally if the senator from Chittenden Central should yield back to me, but in any case.
You're fine. She sat down and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I thank the senator from Chittenden Central. The chamber certainly did not want to hear my French translation of the same document. So copies of this resolution will be sent to the President, to the Canadian Prime Minister, to the Quebec Premier, to Governor Scott, and to Vermont's federal delegation. The committee heard witnesses, the following witnesses: Tim Tierney from the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. He's the Director of International Trade there. And we also heard from Rick Siegel and Michael Chernick from the Office of Legislative Counsel. The vote in the Economic Development Committee was 5-0-0, and I'd like to welcome the chamber to please join the Senate Economic Development Committee and Housing in supporting the resolution SR 11. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Madison.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know if this is appropriate, but is there a way that we can journalize the French version of it in our journal and also send a French version to the Canadians who might appreciate it? I don't know if that's appropriate, but it's pretty cool to have something on the Senate floor spoken in such beautiful French.
I've been informed that the secretary is not sure how it will come out because they're not sure if they can get accent marks in the journal, but they can try it.
Okay, that would be wonderful. And also sending a French version to, I don't know if our legislative council or our secretary is able to do that, but that would also be, I think, a nice gesture to our Canadian partners.
Senator, so we need a motion to journalize, and then we will need the language turned into the Senate Secretary's office because they're not going to be able to transcribe that from the recording.
Okay, before I make a motion, may I ask the reporter in French if she is willing to do that?
Senator, we are asking for third reading today, so there will still be one more
Okay.
opportunity.
Got it.
Am I correct? Well, this is more confusing than pickles. So, Senator from Addison, you can request to interrogate the senator from Chittenden Central to ask the questions about if she can
nodded,
produce,
so I'm assuming
if
she's
she
okay
so
with it.
chooses.
All right. Yes, I would love to inquire of the senator.
The senator from Chittenden Central is interrogated if she chooses.
Senator, would the senator from Chittenden Central be willing to translate it? I believe you already have the sheet, that the senator already has a translation. And would you be willing, would the senator be willing to share it with the secretary?
Mr. President, I do indeed have a translated copy that I've had read by a Francophone friend of mine. And I've also spoken with Ledge Counsel, who is in favor of sharing this French version of the resolution, as long as we make the caveat that this is not an approved translation, that it is just a translation that we've done for the purpose of communicating our message. But it's not an official translation by the Senate of the state of Vermont. Thank you, Mr. President.
I think the senator, and then I would move that we journalize the senator's French version along with the English version in our journal. Thank you.
The senator from Addison. Senator from Rutland.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. So the Committee on Economic Development and Housing did pre-think this issue of translating the SR 11 into French. That's prepared, but to the Senator of Chittenden Central's point, this is not a formal translation, and we're not sure. We would like to wait until third reading. We'll address the formality of whether such a translation, how such a translation should be delivered, or how formally it should be translated. Because at this point, we're simply doing our best to provide a translation which is rather informal. So if we can address that during third reading, Mr. President, that would be appreciated.
So point of order, Mr. President, my motion was just about journalizing the senator's comments today, not
In the
about
journal.
sending the
Yes.
translation to the Canadian partners. So
And that is
sounds like something that could be done later, but just.
The question, yes, the
yeah.
question on the floor is, shall the remarks in French be journalized? Are you ready for the question?
Point of
Senator from
inquiry.
Chittenden.
Point of inquiry, Mr. President, or actually, maybe I'll just ask to debate this particular question. if that's-
Ask the presenter, ask the maker of the motion.
Is this motion debatable, Mr.
Is
President?
this motion, yes, yes.
Mr. President, because this would be a step toward formalizing this translation, and we have heard that we have third reading to take up the question of a formal translation. I would just say we have tried to proceed with every measure of caution in Senate Economic Development to not create an international incident or get anything wrong. And I very much trust the words of the senator from Chittenden Central, but I do worry about an informal translation making it into the record before we have had time to discuss that as a committee. And I'll leave it at that. And if my chair would like to ask for a recess to discuss it, that might be in order, but I am worried about this motion.
We will take a brief recess.
See if I can
Okay.
take the train.
Good, Rick? Are you good, Chrissy? Will the Senate please come to order? Senator from Addison.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will withdraw my motion and let the Senate Economic Development Committee work out a French translation being included in a journal at a later date. Thank you.
Senator from Windsor.
Thank you. It has been our hope and objective that this resolution, once passed, would be translated into French, and then it would accompany the English translation to all the dignitaries that are identified in the resolution. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Chittenden.
Point of information, Mr. President, when you call for the vote, may we say we?
I believe you can.
Merci.
Senator from Essex.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate Economic Development's work on this bill. I like a lot of the language changes. And I do have relatives in Canada, a lot of relatives in Canada, and we have great relationships with them back and forth. My sister-in-law is Canadian, and therefore it makes us my niece and nephews dual citizens. But it still stands to the fact that before the president put tariffs on Canada. We did have a 300% or better tariff on dairy products. We had 50 or 60%, and I'm not a tariff expert neither, but we did have tariffs 50 to 60% on pork and beef and chicken. We had 50 to 60% on wheat and all kinds of grains and stuff. And those tariffs have been there for a long time. And nothing has moved the Canadians as far as to do anything about that. They also subsidize their maple syrup. They subsidize every bit of their farming, every bit of it. And when they subsidize the maple syrup, that actually affects our prices down here to our producers because they're subsidized and they don't have to make as much. And so they do control the price of syrup. So my point being, Mr. President, without the additional tariffs that have gone on, these tariffs have been in effect for a long time, hurting our Vermonters in a big way. And I think that if we could get these tariffs down, and especially the dairy part of it, I mean, we are a dairy state that has $5.4 billion worth of production. I think that if we could use a tool to help level the playing field a little bit better, I'm all for that. Also, I mean, I do see it as far as trying to get along and play along with my Senate colleagues. I mean, I do appreciate again, the real hard work that's been done. But at the end of the day, even if we were to get rid of the tariffs that were put in by this president, the tariffs that were there before are enough to say, no, let's, we need to negotiate a little bit harder. And the tools that have been put there does make that negotiation happen. And therefore, I regretfully, with a little bit of pain in me, have to say that I will not support the resolution. Thank you, Mr. President.
Are you ready for the question?
Roll call.
Roll call has been requested, and when the vote is taken, it shall be by roll. Are you ready for the question? The question is, shall the resolution be amended as recommended? The question will be read in English. Shall the resolution be amended as recommended by the Committee on Economic Development? Are you ready for the question? If so, are you ready for the question? If so, oh. Yeah.
On the amended resolution.
You may call the roll.
Senator Baru.
Yes.
Senator Beck.
Yes.
Senator Baumgart.
Yes.
Senator Brennan.
Yes.
Senator Brock.
Yes.
Senator Chittenden.
We.
Senator Clarkson.
Maybe it's here. We.
Senator Collmore.
Yes.
Senator Cummings.
Yes.
Senator Douglas.
Yes.
Senator Dooley.
We.
Senator Hardy.
Yes.
Senator Harrison.
Yes.
Senator Hart.
Yes.
Senator Hashim. Senator Heffernan.
Yay.
Senator Ingalls.
No.
Senator Lyons.
Yes.
Senator Major.
Yes.
Senator Matos.
Yes.
Senator Norris.
Yes.
Senator Pershler.
Yes.
Senator Plunkett.
Yes.
Senator Ron Hinsdale.
Yes.
Senator Bohosky.
Yes.
Senator Watson.
Yes.
Senator Weeks.
We.
Senator Westman.
Yes.
Senator White.
Yes.
Senator Williams.
Yes.
Senator Hashim.
The we's 28, the nays 1, and we have amended the resolution as offered by the Committee on Economic Development. The question now is, shall the resolution be read a third time? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and you've ordered third reading. Senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I would move that our rules be suspended and that S51, an act relating to the Vermont unpaid caregiver tax credit, be taken up for immediate action.
The senator from Chittenden Central is moved that the rules be suspended and S51 be taken up for immediate action. Are you ready for the question? Senator from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did talk with my committee about this yesterday.
Senator, would you mind waiting till we?
Oh, we have to take it up first.
Yep.
Sorry.
Thank you. Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Senator from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm supposed to be at a meeting 15 minutes ago. I did discuss this with the committee. The other body stripped everything that we had in this bill out and replaced it with others. They are all tax credits, but I would ask that a committee of conference be appointed.
Senator from Washington has moved that the Senate not concur and has requested that a committee of conference be appointed. Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you've ordered a committee on conference. The committee of conference of S51 will be Senator Cummings, Senator Chittenden, and Senator Brock. Senator from Rutland.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'd like to move that rules be suspended and that one of the gubernatorial appointees appearing in today's calendar, whose name is not underlined, be taken up and confirmed without debate. The reason one of them has a date which would preclude us from consideration today. So I'm speaking about Brooke Dingledine, as a member of the Land Use Review Board, be confirmed. Thank you.
Is that the right one? Okay. Senator from Rutland has moved that the rules be suspended and that a gubernatorial appointment that appears in today's calendar, whose name is not underlined, be taken up without debate and be confirmed by the Senate. Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. That's okay. Do I need his name for that script? Oh, that. Senator Norris. We have an appointment reported out of committee for confirmation. The appointment of Matthew Valerio as the Defender General for a term from and including March 1st, 2025 to and including February 28th, 2029, and until a successor has been qualified. The senator from Franklin County, Senator Norris, for the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's been a lot of pressure here today, so following the dilly beans and the cool French, I will try to give our Defender General his due justice while presenting this. Since 2001, Mr. Valerio has served as Defender General for the state of Vermont. He was first appointed by Governor Howard Dean and promptly restructured the program. He was reappointed to 2 more 4-year terms by Governor James Douglas, 1 term by Governor Peter Shumlin, and most recently reappointed to a 3rd 4-year term by Governor Phil Scott. In March 2025, Mr. Valerio was appointed by Governor Scott to his 7th term as Defender General. He is the only person to have served more than 2 terms. As Defender General, Mr. Valerio administers the public defense system, advises the governor and legislator on criminal justice policy from the defense perspective, and provides criminal defense training and public education for attorneys and citizens across Vermont. In addition to his work as Defender General, Mr. Valerio is a past president of the Vermont Bar Association, a 2-time past president of the New England Bar Association, a current VBA and NEBA board member. He served 3 terms on the Vermont Bar Foundation Board. Mr. Valerio is a distinguished 2-time past president of the Rutland Kiwanis Club and past president of the Rutland Area Mentor Program. He has also served as ABA-YLD District Representative for the District of Vermont and Maine. Mr. Valerio has been an adjunct professor at the College of St. Joseph in Rutland, Vermont, has lectured at St. Michael's College, Norwich University, Caston State College, and the Community College of Vermont, and in the internal degree program for Johnson State College. He is licensed and admitted before the following judicial bodies: Supreme Court, Supreme Judicial Court, Massachusetts, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts from 1989 to present, the United States District Court for the District of Massachusetts from 1989 to present, Supreme Court, State of Vermont, 1989 to present, the United States District Court for the District of Vermont, 1989 to present, United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, 1998 until present. The vote in the committee was 4-0-1, and we ask for the Senate's support. Thank you, Mr. President.
The question is, shall the appointment of Matthew Valerio as Defender General be confirmed by the Senate? Are you ready for the question?
Roll call.
Roll call has been requested, and when the vote is taken, it shall be by roll. Are you ready for the question? If so, the secretary shall call the roll.
Senator Baruch.
Yes.
Senator Beck.
Yes.
Senator Bungard.
Yes.
Senator Brennan.
Yes.
Senator Brock.
Yes.
Senator Chittenden.
Yes.
Senator Clarkson.
Yes.
Senator Collmore.
Yes.
Senator Cummings. Senator Douglas.
Yes.
Senator Dooley.
Yes.
Senator Hardy.
Yes.
Senator Harrison.
Yes.
Senator Hart.
Yes.
Senator Hashim. Senator Heffernan.
Yay.
Senator Engel.
Yes.
Senator Lyons.
Yes.
Senator Major.
Yes.
Senator Matos.
Yes.
Senator North.
Yes.
Senator Pershing.
Yes.
Senator Plunkett.
Yes.
Senator Ron Hinsdale.
Yes.
Senator Mahosky.
Yes.
Senator Watson.
Yes.
Senator Weeks.
Yes.
Senator Westman.
Yes.
Senator White.
Yes.
Senator Williams.
Yes.
Senator Cummings. Senator Hashim.
The yeas voting 28, the nays 2. No, the nays 0. Sorry, I thought I. Oh, I thought I. Okay. Sorry, Matt. The ayes have it, and you have confirmed the appointment of Matthew Valerio as Defender General. I believe that completes the orders of the day. Are there any announcements? Senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pending announcements, I would move that the Senate stand in adjournment until 9:30 a.m. Tuesday, May 13th.
Are there any announcements? Senator from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two announcements. One announcement is that I'm not going to be giving my comments on personal privilege relating to Trump's gutting of the LIHEAP program. So that's just because we're running out of time. I got to go get the budget finished. But the Committee on Conference will be meeting this afternoon, hopefully to deal with a couple bills, but it's going to be catch as catch can between the Transportation Conference Committee and the Budget Conference Committee. Thank you.
Senator from Rutland.
Thank you, Mr. President. Government operations will meet at 1:30.
Senator from Windham.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate institutions will meet at 1. We do have witnesses coming.
Senator from Bennington.
Mr. President, the Senate Education Committee, in a way, will meet at 1 because we're doing a joint hearing with the House Education Committee, but we'll be in our committee room and realistically get your lunch and get there when you get there.
Are there any further announcements? Senator from Essex.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Agriculture will meet Tuesday, May 13th, 9 o'clock, and we'll have the Chair of Health and Welfare with us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Chittenden.
Mr. President, I'm 90% sure Senate Finance is meeting at 1:30.
Are there any further announcements? Senator from Windsor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I just want to report that cabaret was terrific, and I would like to thank all the senators who showed up and participated. It is just a wonderful opportunity for us to celebrate our life together in this remarkable body we call the General Assembly, and thank you all.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none. The senator from Chittenden Central is moved that the Senate stand in adjournment until 9:30 a.m. Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we'll stand in adjournment till 9:30 a.m. Tuesday, May 13th, 2025.